Hey guys, welcome back to this YouTube channel. Today, we're going to focus on first-time home buyers. I have seen first-time home buyers make so many mistakes in their search for a home and sometimes even before they approach me. And it's too late to rectify the situation and find them their ideal home. So if you are a first-time home buyer in Canada and looking to buy in the near future, make sure you watch this video till the end because I have 12 mistakes commonly found made by first-time home buyers. First-time home buyer mistake number one is stretching your budget too much. I have seen first-time home buyers go all the way to their entire pre-approval amount, and then a couple months later, they feel the pinch because they start realizing that mortgage costs, even with the rising interest rate, isn't the only costs going up. There's inflation and there's other maintenance costs for the house. So a couple of months later, they all of a sudden regret their decision. How do you make sure this is not you? Make sure whatever pre-approval amount that you get, you're not going all the way to the upper limit. Try to find a house anywhere between 30 to 40,000 below so that you have some buffer and you're not completely stretching your debt to service ratios. A bonus tip, let your realtor know that you intend to not completely stretch your budget so they can set the search criteria accordingly, because you don't want to be set up with disappointments for properties that you shouldn't be purchasing. First-time home buyer mistake number two is not working with a real estate agent. Now, I am a realtor in Calgary, and initially I used to be very surprised by the number of buyers who do not know that there is actually no charges to using a realtor. In fact, there's only benefits because it's paid by the seller. But oftentimes buyers try to save those costs and think that it is better not to use a realtor, and then end up in a situation where they are completely stressed out and they do not know how to navigate. Especially as a first-time home buyer, there's so much more to the process, and I would highly recommend always approach a realtor and then let them navigate you through this difficult process. First-time home buyer mistake number three, not using a mortgage broker. Oftentimes, most of my clients, by the time they have contacted me, they've already approached one of the big five banks, they've gotten a pre-approval, and they are pretty much set on using those big five banks. Now, I do the courtesy of letting them know that there is an option where you can use a mortgage broker, and then they are very happy after that I let them know that. Because when you use a big five bank, you have to realize that mortgage is only one out of 100 different products that they offer, and the mortgage specialist at the bank is more so a salesperson for that specific product, and they are not necessarily looking out for your best interest. Whereas a mortgage broker charges you absolutely nothing and is always looking out for your best interest because they have a wide variety of products to pick from. So you're not locked in with those big five banks. You have additional A lenders whose only sole product and purpose is doing good mortgages. And so those are very clear options. This is something I actually see more common in immigrants who are trying to purchase their first home, because they are under the impression that big banks are the safest and the best to go with. They're not aware that there can be additional A lenders who are equally as established and have been around for the longest time. My mortgage is also with another A lender and not one of the big five banks. And I've gotten a great set of terms and conditions on the contract that I couldn't have gotten with one of the big five banks. So make sure you approach a mortgage lender to get your mortgage. First-time home buyer mistake number four, buy a car before you buy a house. All my buyers are always surprised when I tell them the level of impact buying a car before you buy a house has on your pre-approval. So let's say you earn $100,000 and you have a car that's about $1,000 a month. That deducts $12,000 from your annual income in terms of qualification. Now, what does that equal? 12,000 in our current interest rate hikes cycle is around times 4. So that is $48,000 less in qualification. And when you are looking to buy something like a condo, $48,000 is a lot in terms of the price difference of what you can get. And sometimes that's exactly what prices you out of the market. First time home buyer mistake number 5, my personal favorite, is seeing buyers who just saved their down payment in a traditional savings account in one of the big 5 banks. This is absolutely terrible and something I personally advise against, because traditional banks offer you almost no interest rate, so your money is fighting against inflation. Every month, that money is worth less. But not just that. At the same time, the real estate market is also going in the opposite direction, going up, while you're waiting to save enough down payment to buy a house. And that gap just widens more and more. So while you are trying to reach a certain target, you're in a race against time. And because of that, it is extremely difficult to reach your goals fast enough. Instead, what you can do is use other financial institutions that are also very well established and insured by CDIC, such as Wealthsimple or EQ, my 2 favorites. Wealthsimple offers you 5% interest on their savings accounts, and EQ offers you 3%. So there's practically no risk, while you get higher interest rates than the horrible 0.25% that a traditional bank tries to offer you. And all of this at no monthly charge, while some of y'all might be paying $12 to $20 per month to your bank for nothing. First time home buyer mistake number 6, not fully utilizing investment accounts offered by the government of Canada, such as RSP, TFSA, and now FHSA. All of these accounts have extremely unique benefits and ways to operate them. I have in-depth videos I'm going to be making about each of these. But for example, I utilized TFSA myself when I was trying to buy my first home. And guess what? I didn't pay a single dollar out of pocket for my down payment. All of it was just profits that I got from my TFSA account by investing in stocks. And I didn't pay any taxes even when selling those stocks because it's a TFSA account. And so these are the unique opportunities available to you. So instead of you having your money just sit in a bank account while inflation erodes it, build the skills and knowledge to be able to invest in the right stocks with the right timeline based on your needs so that you can fully utilize all these benefits. For example, in the RSP account, even if you don't want to invest in stocks and you're worried that the stock portfolio will go down, guess what? You can just leave it in there as cash. Most people don't know this. You can leave your money in there as cash, and when it comes around for your tax return, you will get 18% return practically on that money if that's your tax rate. So whatever your tax rate, that's the return you're going to get on that money as your tax files. So isn't that amazing? And you could use that money and compound that towards your down payment. So now you put all of that money that you got from the government back in, and then you get another 18%, and you just keep compounding that, and your timeline to save your down payment will be much, much faster. So make sure you take full use of these accounts. First time home buyer mistake number 7, house hunting before a pre-approval. This is almost every single buyer I get. And it becomes very difficult to understand what you can really afford, and it gives you much lesser confidence when shopping for houses. So first thing I do is make sure my buyers have a pre-approval, and I send them to my mortgage lender who I have a good relationship with. And now, once they get a pre-approval, it's so much easier to go shop houses for them. Because in a situation like now where there's multiple offers and bidding wars, you can't confidently increase the price that you're willing to pay on a property if you don't even know what your threshold is and what the bank is willing to give you. So make sure you get a pre-approval before approaching a realtor. First time home buyer mistake number 8, buying the house instead of buying the neighborhood. It is very, very important to improve your knowledge and ask your realtor about the neighborhoods that you're buying the house in. It is so important to know the amenities, the community facilities, and the schools and the groceries and everything, and really the lifestyle of what it's like to live in that neighborhood. What's the demographic? What's the age group? What's the average income? What's the crime rate? Because that is what it's really going to matter. Having a house that maybe meets 3 out of 5 things that you're looking for, but in a great neighborhood, any day beats having all 5 out of 5 in a terrible neighborhood. So don't buy the house, buy the neighborhood. First time home buyer mistake number 9, waiting for that unicorn property. And that is your dream home. And a lot of people, as their first home, they look to get that 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, triple car garage. They don't even own a car, but they want a triple car garage, a huge yard. And that is a terrible, terrible, terrible mistake. You never want to wait it out. Just say, I'm not going to buy a property now because I cannot afford to buy what I want. There's always something that you can afford. Make sure you get into the market first and then move up from there based on your needs. It is so much easier once you start building equity and you ride the market up versus you just staying out of the market and hoping that one day you'll have enough down payment for that dream home that you're trying to go for. And that is also what leads a lot of buyers to overstretch their budget and very quickly end up in financial troubles down the line. First time home buyer mistake number 10, moving too fast. Please do not FOMO. So when you hear the market's extremely hot, everyone's bidding on properties, and this is something so common in Canada. Everyone tries to jump in and put every single dollar and penny they have to try and get that property. But that's not necessarily how it works, because very quickly you will end up in a property that you're not even happy in the first place. So the idea is to take some time with your realtor at the start. Take a look at maybe 3 properties and then really establish what you're looking for. Once you and your realtor are completely aligned on the vision of the property that you're looking for, if the realtor is able to send you a single property and that matches 5 out of 5, 100% exactly what you're looking for, that's a great starting point to have. And then guess what? You will have a lot more confidence once you find that property that comes on the market that meets your needs. Again, it does not need to be a 5 out of 5. It can just be a 3 out of 5, but in a great neighborhood, and you will be happy. And at that point, you can move with confidence versus hearing about your friends buying a house and then jumping in the market right after and buying a house within the first week, thinking you absolutely have to get a property today, whereas you don't. And that is extremely important to keep in mind. First time home buyer mistakes number 11, overlooking move-in and maintenance costs. I have seen buyers who completely miscalculate what it really takes to be a homeowner and also the closing costs. I need to educate them about all the different lawyer fees and other closing costs depending on the province that you're in. And only then are they able to properly calculate, and only then do they get a better idea of how their finances are going to pan out, because everything that they've saved, they think that's all they need for the down payment and there's nothing after, and they want to get in and get a home. But they need a buffer on top of that. I generally recommend 1.5%. That's roughly what it is here in Alberta. And that's what you need for your closing costs. And apart from that, you also want to have additional money for contingencies. What if when you move in, even though we do inspection, things can go wrong, and you want to be ready for repairs and maintenance of the house. First time home buyer mistake number 12 is overlooking or undermining the amount of work that a TLC property requires. Now, it might be very tempting to try and get a property under market value as a first-time home buyer, and maybe it has just really old flooring, or the carpets are in a terrible condition, or requires some paint work. And these are usually your TLC properties, which is tender, loving care. So the assumption on these properties are, for the most part, the property is actually in a pretty good condition. It's just that it requires those cosmetic fixtures such as paint work, or maybe changing up the carpets into hardwood or just your vinyl planks. Yes, if you're very handy, you could get around to a lot of these things. But as a first-time home buyer, I generally always tell you to avoid these properties, because there's already so much that comes with being a first-time home buyer, that ownership, responsibility, and learning. Even for properties that are already in a great condition, there's a lot to learn. So you can only imagine if a property needs even more care, what can happen. And you could very easily find yourself getting overwhelmed and way over your head of what you think you could handle. So maybe save that for later and find yourself a beautiful home. If you've stayed till the end of the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to stay tuned for all the amazing content I will be putting out, all about the real estate market in Calgary and also lifestyle right here in Calgary. Until next time, goodbye.